play country blues. Early this morning, knocked up on my door. Said early this morning, knocked up on my door. And I said, hello, city, believe it's time to go. Me and the devil was walking side by side. Side by side, I'm gonna be my woman till I get satisfied. She said, I don't see why you dog me round. She said, I don't see why you dog me around. Well, it must be that old evil spirit deep down in the ground. Bury my body down by that highway side. Bury my body down by that highway side. So my old evil spirit gets a Greyhound bus and ride. All right, that was Me and the Devil Blues. We are in standard tuning. Here's my low E. Go ahead and tune the rest of the way, and we will be in tune together. Now, standard tuning, no capo, is what we're going to be using as per the original recording, and we're going to be in the key of A. There is an alternate take, also in A. That is going to be explored on Volume 3 of the Robert Johnson collection, where we are going to go through all of the alternate takes in Volume 3. And this one, again, in the key of A, we're going to need 3 A chords. So let's take a look at those. We're going to be, the first A chord is going to be at the 9th fret. It's going to be a D7 chord shape. So 3rd string, 1st string at the 9th fret, 2nd string at the 8th fret, and A is going to be open. So 9 and 8. Our next A is in the middle of the fretboard, which on strings 4 and 2 at the 5th fret. And then we're going to be at the 6th fret of that 3rd string. A and E are open for that. And this chord shape comes out of the E chord shape. So if we did a bar chord version of E and we took off our ring finger and our pinky, you would see the shape there in that fingering there. But we don't need a bar. We don't need all of that. We're going to do it like this, which is kind of a D major chord shape. It's just up a set of strings. So we've got A7 at the 9th fret, A7 at the 5th fret, and then lastly our long A, where we're going to be barring strings 4, 2, 3, 1 at the 2nd fret, adding our pinky at the 5th fret. That's A major. 3rd fret on that 1st string is the 7th. So you've got major and 7th. Now, it's just good to note that these A7s up the neck, They're A7s because we're in the key of A, but all of those chord shapes are movable. So those are 7th chord voicings, and you can use them in any key, and that's just nice to know. So again, we've got A7 at the 9th fret, A7 at the 5th fret, A major, A7. Now we're going to need a D7 chord shape, but instead of having the F sharp on that first string of that 2nd fret, we want that to be open, and we want the F sharp in the bass instead. So first finger on that 2nd string 1st fret, middle finger on that 3rd string 2nd fret. Thumb on the bass is 1 fingering. So it's either going to look like this, or you'll see me also switch to this fingering where my 1st finger, then my ring finger on that 3rd string, and then my middle finger on that bass at the 2nd fret. So I go between those 2 fingerings, really depending on where I'm coming from and where I'm going to. But it is nice to know how to move your hand around like that, because it's a chord voicing that works in any other song that you need a D7 chord voicing. You can use that, and the fingering may need to be one or the other, again, based on what you're doing before that chord or after that chord. Lastly, we need an E7. So we've got A's, we've got D's, and we've got E's. When we're in our A chords, that A string is going to be our bass. When we're in our D, that 6th string is going to be the bass. When we're in our E, that 6th string is going to be the bass. So we're just going from our 5th to our 6th string as far as the bass is concerned. And sometimes we're doing a straight 1, 2, 3, 4. Other times we're going to mix and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So you'll go 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. That is something that Robert Johnson does consistently through all of his recordings, is that very spontaneous bass where it's going from 1, 2, 3, 4 to a shuffle beat 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And there's no real reason to kind of try to track out exactly when he does it, because every recording he does it just kind of as he feels. And as you're playing the piece, those moments are going to make sense. You're going to feel when it's best to add that extra bass note and make it a shuffle, as opposed to just staying on that single bass string. I will point out that, anyone watching this, whatever level you may be at may determine what bass you can do. So when I was first learning how to play this style of music, I wasn't really able to keep good time with that shuffle bass. It was just enough to be able to play the song and the chords. So just sticking with a single string bass is definitely more than enough, depending on your level. So if you're a beginner, just stick with that single string bass, knowing that eventually you're going to be able to add that extra bass in, and it's just going to add a little extra groove to what you're doing. Looking at the intro here, I will mention that everything based in this song is based out of those chord shapes that we're going to be using. So intro, A7 at the 9th fret, and I'm going to be brushing on strings 1, 2, and 3, down, down, and we want to hold that whole chord shape. So we're not breaking from that chord. We're taking that D7 chord shape all the way down. So it's A7, flat, G7, and then we're going to land on this long A chord shape here, our A first position. So going from the 9th fret, brush, down, to A. And the way that we resolve that A is that A note to that A note, from the 3rd string to the 1st string. And there's no bass in there. Now we have a walk down, and it's going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, which is going to lead us to an E7. It's a little bit weird, the timing of it. it's really funky. There is no reason why you couldn't just go. Just kind of more of a straight time. And again, I'm using my first string on that 5th fret, that A, and then I'm walking down. And those are all pinches. So my thumb is on that 4th string, and I'm using my finger for that first. To an E7. And now we're into the song, first verse. A7, early this morning, that bass. Knocked upon my door. And we're just going flat up to that A. And again, those are just brushes. The last technique, in addition to just brushing up, is this dragging of the finger from 1, 2, 3. He uses that all the time. He kind of uses that to at the end of every phrase almost before he goes into the next chord. You hear it all over the place. So it's a very useful technique. So first line, early this morning, knocked upon my door. D, it's mostly just the bass. Now with this D chord, you can just stay on that 6th string, fretting that 6th string, whether it's your thumb or your first finger. Very much heavy palm muting, where you're just mostly hearing the rhythmic effect, as opposed to, that would be the note, where now I'm really cutting it out. And all I'm doing is putting my hand on those bass strings. I'm not covering all of the strings. I'm just covering that 6th and the 5th. I can feel that I'm touching more than that, but my aim is just to kind of cut out that 6th string. And you can either just do that, or you can go open and then fret. Or you can go open, first, second. But he's going to just, I'd call that thwacking. He's just going to thwack away on that D chord through that second line of the verse. Early this morning, woo, knocked upon my door. Now we're going to that 5th fret A. And he just hangs on that A. He doesn't go, we're not moving in it back and forth like he does in his other songs. He's just holding down the fort on that A. One thing I want to point out is when we're doing the shuffle, I am on that 4th string, at that 5th fret that I'm fretting. I am and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So on the ands, I'm releasing the tension. And then on the beat, I'm fretting it. I'll stop palm muting so you can hear it better. That I'm doing that is that releasing the note and fretting it again aids in the shuffle rhythm. It aids in that rhythmic effect, as opposed to just going where I'm just fretting it the whole time. It gives more separation, and you can clearly hear it. And when you're playing it, you'll totally feel it, which I think is probably more important than the hearing it, is just feeling it, because this song swings, and you want to be able to have that little separation there. So it's that A, and that's the lick. E, and again, he's just going to hang on that E and just thwack away at that 6th string. And I said, hello, Satan, to D. Believe it's time to go. And A, we're going to walk down 5, 4, 3, 2 to our E7. And again, holding that A note on that first string. That's the first verse. Early this morning, knocked upon my door. knocked up on my door, A. E, and I said, hello, Satan. I believe it's time to go, A, and that walk down. All of the verses get that treatment. They all fall under that category. The only variation is in the second line of the second verse. Instead of going to our D chord, we're going to do a single string bend, and it's going to be at the 8th fret on that first string. There's no bass. And it's going to resolve on that A at the 5th fret of that first string, open into that A. So it's going to sound like this. Me and the devil was walking side by side. Here it comes. Said me and the devil was walking side by side. So that only happens on the second line of the second verse, and I'm using any finger you want. I'm getting my finger really kind of underneath it because I'm trying to kind of pop it. And it's and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. So again, really just kind of pulling the strings. And the lick that we're going to use is going to be this A, bring it down 1 fret, and then the strings 2 and 1. And then bring it back. See that again, down. So that's going to sound like this. First line of the verse. Me and the devil was walking side by side. Me and the devil was walking side by side. Into E, I'm gonna be my woman till I get satisfied. Let's look at the ending. So the ending is gonna be that walk down, but we're going to end on that 3rd fret. And then we're going to do E, 7, open 1st, 2nd fret, to an A7. So it's going to play out like this. So those are all the pieces to Me and the Devil Blues. I'm going to play through the entire song. This is where the tablature comes from, so if you have issues with any of the sections, check out the tab and let's play through it together. To A, early this morning, knocked up on my door. D, early this morning, knocked up on my door. Back to A. I said, hello, Satan. D, I believe it's time to go. A, and that walk down. A, me and the devil was walking side by side. Devil was walking side by side. E, I'm gonna beat my woman. D, till I get satisfied. A, and that walk down. Third verse, A. She said, I don't see why you dog me around. D, she says, I don't see why you dog me around. A, it must be that evil spirit. D, so deep down in the ground. A, and that walk down. Last verse, A. Bury my body down by that highway side. Bury my body down by that highway side. A, E, so my old evil spirit. D, gets a Greyhound pussing right to the end.